So the difficult thing about going live, for me anyway, is that I can't edit it. So what you see is what you get, sort of thing. And that makes me a little bit nervous. And that nervousness comes from um, my desire to control things, which I'm working on. I've been working on it for years. Like many of us, issues that we have tend to be issues that have been with us for a long, long time. And so rather than it being poured onto us to learn our lessons around those issues, we get them in steps. So um, I see. Oh, um, I see. We have one person. That's Samantha. I keep asking. 64 or 65 years old. You get older and you don't keep track of those things anymore. Anyway, I was born in 1959. And for those who know astrology, I am a Scorpio with a Scorpio rising. Um, and I won't bore you with all those details. So I have always had, since a young girl, and really unusual experiences. And it's not just me, it's many of the members of my family. Um, okay, deep breath here. So I started my awakening in 1987, and I saw that froze up. So I think I probably can't move too quickly. So I started my awakening in 1987. And that was the year of the harmonic convergence. If you're not familiar with it, I recommend that you do just a tiny bit of research on it, because a lot of things started to change for a lot of people in that year. So I started without the boring details, I started my awakening that year, and it was a dark night of the soul moment in 1992. So I began to have lucid dreams, and my higher guidance started coming to me in my dreams. And so for 5 years, between 1987 and 1992, I was going through the dark night of the soul, where a lot of things were being pulled away from me, and I was having a lot of experiences that bordered on the paranormal. During that time, one of the things that I had to deal with was finding a comfortableness with the dark, not the dark night of the soul, comfortableness with the occult. Were you meditating prior to this process? No. I was, as you said in one of your videos, Samantha, and thank you for asking that question. Samantha knows I do best in response to questions. So from 1987 to 1992, I was in the space where most people are in the beginning of their awakening, just that their life is falling apart and things are, weird experiences are occurring. And you know that there's something going on, but you can't put your finger on it, and you're still just trying to get through life as a normal human being. So my husband had beat me. The court systems got involved, and in order to protect my family, they had to move me. I was in the victim witness protection program, et cetera, et cetera. Right around 1992, when I started having the lucid dreams, I was invited through a dream into the mystery school. I had no idea what the mystery school was. And my boyfriend at the time was in jail, and I was waiting for him to get out. And so when they invited me into the mystery school, they took me. What happened was I knew that my physical body was in bed sleeping. And and the experience that I was having in my dream felt extremely real, like a reality. And they took me into this room that was inside of a mountain, and it was really big. And the top of the ceiling was like 30 or 40 feet high. And there was this one very long table, and I think it was a stone table. And there was a woman sitting at the table with a yellow legal pad, and she was writing on it, but she was writing symbols on it. And they told me that she had decided to give up her position in the mystery school. She wasn't going to stay in it. And so an opening had been created, and it was being offered to me. So again, mind you that I had no idea what the mystery school was, and I would like to be there when he does and to spend time with him, because I thought maybe I had to move, or I had to die, or it wasn't explained to me. So I had no idea. So he gets out of jail, and within a couple of weeks or a month, my whole life starts to fall apart again. And within a week or so, I recognized, I don't know how, just inside of me, I knew that it was connected to me not accepting the invitation into the mystery school. Long story short, that was part of my contract, part of why I came here in this lifetime. And so it was very important to me. Before I was born into this lifetime, this was something that was very important to me. And so my guidance system had already had permission to make life unbearable for me if I didn't follow through with what I came here to do. So once I realized that it was connected to that, I started praying every single day and saying that I was sorry I didn't accept. I wanted to accept their offer. I would do whatever was necessary. I ended up leaving him and moving a couple of times, and then he came back, and so it was like a year-long process. So and that was when I lived in Augusta, Georgia. So then in 1996, I was asked by my higher guidance. And so at this time I had started meditating, and I didn't really know how to meditate. But so I did what I could. I used a candle flame and focused on that. And what ended up happening was I started falling asleep during my meditations. And then people started seeing me out around town at the bars, etc. And I knew I was at home in bed sleeping. So I thought maybe I was sleepwalking. So I started setting my clothes up in a little pile, and nice and neatly, so that if I was sleepwalking, I would be able to tell. And I wasn't sleepwalking. And I talked to a couple of friends after the fact and asked them a bunch of questions to try and figure it out. Well, I could never figure it out. And I was taking an astrology course at the time. And so I told her about it. I asked her, if she had something for a stone for protection, because I thought I was under attack. And she asked me what was going on. And I told her about people seeing me out around town at night when I knew I was home sleeping. And she giggled. And the reason why she giggled was because she had a friend who had gone through the same experience. And she said, what was happening? She asked me, she said, are you falling asleep while you're meditating? And I said, yes, I am. And I would start to get this little pimple right by my right eye, in the corner of my right eye, when that was happening. And she said, if you fall asleep while you're meditating, you leave holes. You create holes in your auric field, at which time your essence can escape and go do its business around town. So I'm guessing, since everybody was seeing me at the neighborhood bars and taverns, that the part of me that was used to going out and partying wasn't happy with the fact that I was staying at home and meditating and studying esoteric topics, etc., and wanted to get out in public again. So For years, I had no idea what that was. And when I was working at the psychic center, the woman who owns it, um, her name is Winterwolf. So if you're ever in Sedona and you want a really good reading, that's who I would recommend. Winterwolf at the Crystal Magic Psychic Center. Anyway, I was telling her about this experience, and she knew what it was right away because she had had similar experiences. And it's called bilocation. Um, it's happened a couple of times since, but mostly with people that are from like out of town. They tell me they know me, and I don't know them. But so anyway, and that was in '96, and then I was told to come to Arizona, and I came out to Arizona, and I went through a couple of moments where I was doing more inner healing and connecting with my guidance system. And then in 1998, I had a full-blown vision of Jesus Christ walking up to me. I was outside of my mother's house having a cigarette, and all of this 3D reality disappeared. I was wide awake, and it disappeared. And he walks up. Now, I never saw his face clearly, but I knew it was him. And he walks up and he's wearing white, and he stops in front of me, and he's got a little, like a hobo satchel over his shoulder, over his right shoulder. And it's a stick, and it had a red and white checked handkerchief on the end of it with some stuffed inside of it. And he says, "Pack your belongings in a small satchel and follow me." And that was it. And then all of this 3D reality returned, and that vision was gone. And I started crying right away because I had just told my sister and my mother that I would not be going on any more journeys. I had planned to settle down in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and focus on a job and making money and getting my own place to live rather than staying with my mother at 36 years old. And so I knew that they were going to be very hurt and upset with me, but I couldn't deny him. I couldn't refuse. And so when he said, "Pack your belongings in a small satchel and follow me," what he meant was, don't take everything with you. Take what you can carry on your shoulder or on your back. And so I did. And I ended up in Sedona, and my time in the mystery school began full force in earnest. And I had many unusual experiences in which I learned almost everything that I know today. So, so Samantha, I'm so sorry, honey. Thank you for sticking with me on this. Now, so the thing is I really appreciate you being here, Samantha. So the thing is I did not, I just put up this notice. I put up a little post on my community page saying that I would be doing this at 2:00 today. And then a real quick couple of second totally animated video on TikTok saying that I would be doing this. So I didn't expect a lot of people to be here. Anyway, so Samantha asked, "How do you know when you are invited and that it was coming from a good place? How do you trust that, especially being new to these concepts?" Well, because I felt it in my heart. It's an energy. You can't, so for me, anyhow, I'm good with energy. So that's how I knew. But let's see, something that I could relate, that's everybody else could relate to. It would be like, Okay. So this should be easy to grasp for the people who have a fear of height, or you can, or a fear of anything. So if you are standing at, if you have a fear of heights and you're standing at the edge of a precipice, or you're way up high on a mountain and you could fall easily. So there's a feeling that you get, right, in your body that tells you to be careful, to step back, because you might experience some vertigo and fall. If you're afraid of spiders, there's a feeling that you get in your body when you see a spider. If you're afraid of mice or snakes, the same thing. You get a feeling in your body. So we also get similar feelings when we recognize something that is good. So for instance, if you are sitting outside of your house or even in your house and you see bluebirds in your yard, for most people that would bring up a feeling inside of you of serenity or happiness or peace. Some people, if you really like cardinals and you see one, you would feel that inside of you, that feeling of peace, happiness or joy, etc. If you like cats or dogs, or your child comes home from being away for a while, you inside of you, you feel this energy. And that's how I am able to tell where my information is coming from and whether or not I can trust it, because I can feel that inside of me. So when I was asked to join the mystery school, that's what I felt inside of me. I felt the love. I felt the peace inside of me. There wasn't necessarily joy. There was absolutely no energy of negativity, of fear, of caution, etc. Even though at the time I didn't know if it meant I would have to die, that didn't even scare me. It's just that I wanted to be with my boyfriend when he came out of jail. So, any questions? That was really good. So the whole thing is it's we live in a world of energy. And if we learn how to recognize the various signatures, energy signatures, then we can make our life much more easier and much more comfortable. We know it's a vibe, right? So if you walk into some place and it feels off, it feels icky, you're picking up on a negative vibe. And you don't have to. It's good if you can figure out where it's coming from. If it's coming from a particular person, maybe it's the energy of the location, maybe it's the event itself. But even if you can't pick up on where that energy is coming from, you still know that it doesn't jive with you, that it doesn't resonate with you. Then you make a choice. You know that it's not resonating. You can choose, well, I'm going to stick around for a couple more minutes and see if it goes away. And if it doesn't, and it starts to build, then you know that you should leave that place. If you can experiment by, if you're getting a negative vibe, you can experiment by simply walking out the door and seeing if it dissipates. So, and I do have a video on how to understand the language of energy. So, questions from anybody? Okay, so, so the awakening process. Hi, Stones of Destiny. I don't know you by your first name, but Samantha from Key Passages. Stones of Destiny is here in Arizona as well. She's somewhere down in your neighborhood. Hi, Kathy. And she's going to try and make it up here sometime before June, correct? So Samantha asked, would you possibly have maybe a sense of fear if it was coming from a negative place? Not necessarily. So it could be experienced as hesitation. Um, it the fear kind of depends whether or not you're going to feel fear around the negativity. Kind of depends where you're coming from and where that energy is coming from. Okay, so good. Now you two are in touch with each other. You should go subscribe to each other's channels and meet up. Maybe you both come out this way. But anyway, so it's really important to understand energy. And the best way to understand energy, the easiest way, is to feel it inside of you. So a good way to get started is to have a partner that will, you close your eyes and your partner will gently rub something along your hand and your arm or your face, etc. Start with all different objects: a pen, a pencil, a rose petal, fingernails, feathers, sticks, etc. And you, with your eye closed, you to totally internalize that feeling that they are putting on your body, and try to figure out what it is. And what it will do is it will help you to think of and visualize what they might be rubbing on your body. And so then that would be the start of being able to recognize energy. So, oh, you guys are too cool. Okay, so that's what I would recommend. Everything is energy. We are energy. The reality that we live in is energy. We're moving from one reality to another. And so that energy is a higher vibration. It's a higher frequency. So if you can recognize the energy and the difference in the frequencies, it makes moving into that higher dimension, that higher energy frequency, a little bit easier. So, okay. Should I just continue talking about whatever it is that comes to mind? So I see I'm coming up on 24 minutes here. And the next live that I do, I'm going to give more advance notice. It would be nice if anybody watching this would give me an idea of what time frames work for people and where you're located. Anyway, okay. So what occurs to me is to talk a little bit about spirituality and religion. So it doesn't matter what religion you are. I always recommend to everybody not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Lots of people think that you cannot hold on to your religious background while you are going through the awakening and then the ascension process, and that you have to grasp these entirely new spiritual concepts. When in reality, the religion, understanding that the families and the circumstances that we chose to be born into in this lifetime are things that we chose. And so I chose to be born into a family where my father was Lutheran and my mother was Buddhist, and most of my friends were Catholic. And what that did was it pushed me to understand God, to look for God, because I knew my mother wasn't wrong. I knew my dad wasn't wrong. And I knew inside of me that my friends weren't wrong. And I would go to Catholic Sunday services on a regular basis. So I chose to be born into that family and have those friends and experience those circumstances so that I would search for God and to try and truly understand who God is. So still my basis is in Christianity. So although I know about Buddhism and Wiccanism, et cetera, my basis is still in Christianity. And Jesus is still my personal way shower. And the person, I see him differently than most Christians do. He is not just the person who saved me and guided me and guarded me and protected me. He's also my brother. So, okay. Oh, yes. I think so too, Samantha. I think religion as a platform to jump beyond yourself. That's great. Yes. Yes, yes, Kathy. She says, I do believe in Jesus Christ. I've actually seen him in vision and talked to him. I believe he is a part of Shambhala. Absolutely. So, Jesus, so Samantha, people are having a hard time with bridging that gap between spirituality and religion. So, yes, I agree wholeheartedly. And you and I have talked about that. And Kathy, if you are having visions of him and talking to him on a regular basis, good for you. I will tell you that, and you both know about the New Age consciousness. Doreen Virtue, who was the author of the Angel Oracles, I think it was, etc., did a complete 360 and went, or 180, whatever it's called, and went from the New Age concepts to full-blown Christianity, functional Christianity. And so did a friend of mine who was a phenomenal channel. So the reason why that stuff didn't happen to me, where I experienced attacks by the dark side, absolutely. And some of them are just incredulous. If you've ever watched the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves, when I saw it, I told my boyfriend, I said, if I were ever to put my experiences with the dark side into a film, it would be that one, Constantine, because you have to provide these visuals for the normal everyday person to understand what it is that you're going through, because it doesn't usually happen in physical form. So that movie Constantine was just hit the nail on the head. But even though I had those attacks, I was always safe, always, always safe. And I know it was because of Jesus's presence in my life. And I would be woken up in the middle of the night when something would be trying to literally enter my body. And I would have a prayer to say. I don't know where the prayers would come from. One prayer I'd never heard before. I wrote it down somewhere. But then I talked to a friend of mine whose father was a Baptist minister in down south, Alabama, something like that. And he said that was the prayer that his father used to cast out demons. So, but anyhow. So, I know that a lot of people have a problem with religion because, and Samantha and I have talked about this, because of the control issues and what I want to say is that religion was created by humanity, by mankind. Yes, mainly organized. Yes, functional religion, organized religion. Almost all religions have that in common, and it's not a terrible thing. Organized religion, functional religion, that's not a terrible thing. Um, it helps people, and even for us, when we are children, we need strong guidelines. We need to be told that you have to have your breakfast every morning, you have to have dinner every night, you have to take a bath. We need to be told that we have a curfew, that you can't play with knives, that fire is dangerous. So when we are young, when we're children, we need those structures, that limitation, so that we are kept safe, so that we know what is good and what's bad, so that when we hit our brother or our sister and mom or dad comes over and spanks us, they're not spanking us because they don't love us. They're spanking us because they want us to know the difference between right and wrong. They want us to know what it feels like to cause pain to somebody else. So that's what religion does, is it has a place in our world. Its place in our world is to help those who are still very young in their understanding of God and Jesus and the universe and the creator that dwells inside all of us. Before that understanding starts to emerge, religion serves as a safety room, as guidepost, as structure, so that people can learn what is right and wrong and try to. Otherwise, all societies would be totally in disarray. So functional and organized religion has a place in our world. As we move up in consciousness and we start to understand who we are, those limitations begin to be removed from us. So as a child, you have the limitations of like a religion, mom and dad said you can't do this, etc. And then you become a teenager and some of those restrictions are lifted and you start to experiment more and experience more of who you are in life and your connection with other people. And if you do something wrong, you'll experience the repercussions of it. If you do something that's good, that feels good to other people, then you experience the joy that comes back from that. So as a teenager in the religious moving to a higher spirituality, those religious concepts begin to, so all teenagers, right? They start to rebel. Every teenager starts to rebel against their mom, their dad, schools, right? No, they can't tell me what to do. And they get mad at mom and dad because they're trying to tell them what to do. And because they're starting to feel inside of them that they are an individual, that they have something more and they want to expand. But mom and dad still have to, even though the teenager's getting upset with them, mom and dad still have to be mom and dad and put those restrictions there and explain things to them and maybe let them stretch a little bit so that the children will still be safe. The teenagers are still safe in their structured environment, but mom and dad has to allow them to expand. So that's what happens during the awakening process. You begin to expand, your awareness begins to expand. You begin to feel different things and experiment with different things and the power that resides within you. So at that point, you are the teenager that says, yeah, I can't deal with functional religion. Yeah, I can't deal with organized religion. It's too controlling. I need room to grow. I got to move. I got to stretch my arms. My wings want to unfurl. and then you move into adulthood. And in adulthood, you begin to understand that all of these things have a place, right? Now you're free. You don't have to do what mom and dad says. You don't, and in spiritually speaking, in adulthood, you don't have to buy into all the dogma of the religions, but you don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. You don't, just because you turn into adult, you go from a teenager to an adult, and you don't have to live under mom's roof anymore, and you don't have to do what dad says anymore. It doesn't mean you stop believing in them. It doesn't mean you stop loving them. It doesn't mean that you stop going over to visit them or that you don't take their advice. You are just now expanded beyond what their limitations were. And it's the same thing with spirituality. So if you are feeling that angst with religion, then and during the awakening process, it's because your wings want to unfurl and you want to experience all of who you are. And then when you move up and you start to understand what it's all about and why it was there in your life in the first place, you can still embrace it. So for me, It's the Christian religion. It's Jesus Christ. It's not really the religion, it's Jesus. Okay. When I started looking for God, I found Jesus. I wasn't looking for Jesus. I was looking for God. And while I was looking for God, I found Jesus. And it was a very heart-moving moment for me. So I've been in the same religion since I was 12, and I learned a lot. And it's actually helping me now, even though I don't go anymore. Yeah. Thank you, Kathy. I go to church maybe once a year, once every 2 years. And it's always a moment when I want to experience the camaraderie. Oftentimes, and I will pick, maybe it'll be a New Age church in Sedona. Maybe it'll be a Baptist church or a Catholic church. Whatever feels right. And sometimes I get there and it just doesn't feel right. The camaraderie that I was looking for, the whole, that is, and you can do it online too. It's just not quite the same. So that is the verse in the scripture that says, where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am. And that's an energetic thing as well, because that energy is increased 2 or 3 or 4-fold